I'm not normally into Subarus, but the price is right. It's even less than the $2 Jeep. This one's a freebie. It does have some issues. Those used to be spark plug wires. There's remains of one there. It's not a wagon, it's a sedan. Fairly solid and straight, not rusty. Just doesn't work. He said the pack rats have got to the interior. It was dark, so I decided to just ignore that. Let's see, emergency brakes off, we're in neutral. Just gotta figure out how to hook up on this thing. Ooh, a hook-like thing, perfect. There's even two of them. Oh, there's an even better one. This is back with my old trailer configuration, right about when the brake problem started. It's been a few miles of dirt roads. Car is still on the trailer. Trailer stopped having brakes though. There's not a whole lot of anything around here. It's nice, it's quiet. Oh, I think I see a cow. Someone's got to live down that way because there's power lines that go there. Well, either way, it's been an interesting drive. Gonna check the rest of the tie downs, keep going. Towards a paved road somewhere up there. Once we hit the paved road, the trailer brakes started working again. Made it home with what I thought was no problems. Then the next morning, I realized my license plate's missing. There's one bolt left, the other one's gone entirely. The fellow I got this from said the interior had been trashed by pack rats and mice. Let's see how bad it is. Huh. There is poop on the seat. That's always on the minus column. All over the floor. Whatever rodents attacked this car were fairly large. They've eaten up the floor mats a little bit. That's an easy fix. Oh. Lots of mouse holes there. We'll just fold that right up. They did get to this door panel pretty good. I moved the seat forward and it got a little bit worse under here. I was vacuuming up the droppings on the driver's side. I noticed a strange green substance on the floor here. I have no idea what that is. But the shop vac won't touch it. Found a spare key. Trunk pop works. We got a little more mouse debris in here. A battery. Huh, 16 valve. And a lot of fluff. We're gonna have to look under there. A lot more droppings in here. Let's lift up this multi-box. Oh! I really was expecting a full-on nest. Looks like this is where the jack and everything used to be. Oh, there's something else under here. Got a jack handle. And a spare tire. Oh, there's a spare tire hold down. And hold down bolt. What's this? Oh, there's the jack. It's got a little door. I'm gonna give this car a good soaking with the pet enzyme stuff. Particularly all the brown stained areas. There's been a lot of things living in this. I was gonna turn the fan to off and rip off the knob, because I don't know what's been living inside those vents, but I am sure I don't want it blowing on me. But there is no off on the fan, just an off on the climate control. Looks like we can just unplug the fan motor. There, that's never turning on, unless someone plugs it back in. Now I already know that the spark plug wires have been eaten through. Let's see what shape they need to be for me to make another setup. Huh, that whole spark plug boot is soaking wet. It's kind of sticky. Makes me think antifreeze. That's probably not a good sign. Let's check the next one. This one does not look sticky. Maybe a little moisture. I'm not going to call it dry, but better. We'll just put that one right back in. I wonder what the oil looks like. I don't see any water yet, so that's good.
I spent a lot of time vacuuming up rodent droppings, and I kept finding more.
I was digging my shed and found 4 spark plug wires. These are off the $2 Jeep. They're a little bit rusty. The insulation is questionable, and they're far too short. But they do have an end that fits into this coil. So we got the beginning of spark, and we got the other end of where the spark needs to go. I'm sure splicing spark plug wires together is a good idea. The procedure, we take off this little spring clip that's on the old plug wire. We don't need that, but we're going to save it for later in case we do. Then we take the end and pop that open quite a bit. It's just metal, it bends easy. Now we take the old Subaru wire, strip off a good chunk of that, and then this, we're going to fold over itself and shove that into the old spark plug connector. Now the piece we folded over is right up against the metal. So now we can take our regular wire crimper pliers and crimp that whole thing in place. Now we have a connection, so just slide the old spark plug boot back over it for insulation. Then we plug it into the coil as though none of this ever happened. And that's a totally normal spark plug wire. Now I'm going to throw in a battery that I used for winching this up, which probably has some charge left in it. Even has the terminals on the right side. That's handy. And let's see what happens. Wouldn't have been much fun if it started right away, so let's find what other issues we might have. I'm going to pop this intake off. Alright, we'll just move that up and out of the way. We're going to pour a little gas straight into the throttle body. We'll see what happens. Alright, let's see if we get a pop. Those hacked together spark plug wires do work. We got a fuel issue. These modern fuel injection systems have been installing in cars for the past 40 or 50 years. They're really not that bad. They have 3 main components. You have a fuel pump to make pressure at the fuel, you have fuel injectors to squirt fuel in, and you have a computer telling it when to happen. I'm going to start with the first thing in the system, the fuel pump. And that might be easier than you think. While I was working on cleaning out all the rodent droppings out of the car, I saw that. That looks like an access plate for a fuel pump. Bits of mouse and a fuel pump. There's quite a few wires going to this connector. You can tell some are obviously thicker. That's going to be the high power fuel pump. The other thing inside here is the level sender. That doesn't need to be thick, so that's going to be the thin wires. Let's see if we have any power going to this connector. I used a couple paper clips as probes in there and hook it up to an old dashboard indicator light. I don't know which is positive or negative, but an incandescent bulb doesn't really care. It can go either way. Don't use an LED for this. You can get a false negative if it's hooked up the wrong way. This should work either way. I'm going to go turn the ignition switch on. You guys keep an eye on that for me. Now we know the computer's telling that fuel pump to turn on and there's power to it. The question is any fuel coming out? There's 3 lines right here. That's got a spring clamp, that's got a spring clamp, that's got a nice high pressure clamp. That's our fuel feed line. Take it off and see if we get fuel. If that fuel pump works, this will make a really big flammable mess. No mess. Lots of rust. Even the clamp that holds it on is rusty. With the level of corrosion here, I really don't think that pump is salvageable, so I'm going to see what a new one costs.
There were several choices, and they were all more than I wanted to spend.
I got a collection of fuel tanks I've been hoarding. This one's from a Grand Cherokee, and it had fuel injection. These have a big plastic nut, and you just unscrew that, whole thing pops out. Even with the right tool, they can be a real pain. There we go. little bit of prying might be needed here. This gasket's probably been on for 30 years. There we go. We got a container. Let's see what's inside this. Got the bottom half off. There is a pump in there. It looks kind of similar. Here's the Grand Cherokee pump. It's the same cylinder shape as the other one. 2 wires in, 2 wires in, a hose out, intake with a filter, intake with a filter. I don't see why that won't work. Got the Jeep pump in place. I used 3 zip ties, so it's totally secure. The old Subaru hose fit. Conveniently, both pumps had a plus and minus molded right in them. And I think it's ready to install. I've got it plugged in, but before I hook up anything else, I'm going to power it up and see what happens.
And now I've got a flammable mess.
It's working! It worked for a little bit. Got it running again, but it doesn't sound like it's on all 4. Those spark plug wires might be less than optimal. What do we have going on here? We've got coolant leaking out. There's the coolant leak. I think I can tell what the problem is. That might have something to do with it. That is the most mouse damage I've ever seen done to a hose. Now we're going to need a sharp angle here, but I probably have one somewhere. That's close enough. Done. We got warning lights. Fuel gauge doesn't work, but runs well enough to get it to the shop under its own power. Got another leak. The new leak is somewhere in this area, but under there somewhere. I've discovered this engine is not the easiest thing to work on. There's a lot of things happening around there. You just can't see it with all this engine in the way of the engine. That is the most mouse damage I've ever seen done to a hose. I can see antifreeze, and it looks like that used to be a hose that holds it in. Looks like I got another one to take care of. This is a tool I bought recently to solve a problem on that bus. You'll see that in a future video. It's got a remote camera and a screen so I can see what I'm doing. I figure if they can do surgery on arteries with this kind of setup, I should be able to change a hose. The best part is this setup can actually record, so I can take you along with me for the ride. Gonna fish this in there and find that leak. The pliers are hitting this bracket, so I'm just going to remove it. More space. Now let's play surgeon again. I see a radiator cap here, and then on this side I see a valve that looks like a drain valve, but it's on top. This is where actually learning something about how to work on these would help, but instead, I'm just going to go ahead and unscrew it. I don't want to do any research. It looks like an air bleeder, that's my guess. Nothing's pouring out. Got water coming out this side. I think we're full.
It ran, but it was severely lacking in power. I was able to find out that it did both go forward and reverse. So there's potential here. Oh yeah, this is full throttle.
I'm still not getting all the cylinders to fire. This kind of looks suspicious. Even with my repaired wires, there might be some issues with firing and all that liquid. But the spark plug's way in there. See what I can do to clean that hole out. This is another case where there's engine in the way of engine. You can't really get to the spark plugs because they're buried inside the cylinder head. I don't know how Subaru people work on Subarus. I like when spark plugs are right out in the open and easy to get to. I don't even need to open the hood to change the plugs on this one. This was definitely made after the 1950s. Using some brake clean to try to blast out anything that's oil. Hopefully what's in there is just stuff that'll evaporate. Run a rag in there to sop up the excess. I'm starting to kind of like this car. It seems to want to run, so I went and splurged. Found a $12 set of spark plug wires, and I spent almost $2 a piece on spark plugs. I'm up to 20 bucks into this car right now. Hope that fixes all its problems. I just pulled out the plug from cylinder 4, found my misfire. There's no gap there. There's a chunk of something taking up the entire gap. This plug had no chance of firing with that. Wonder if this is a bad sign. I'll throw a new plug in and see what happens.
I did notice some oil smoke, so I let it warm up a bit. Looks like the smoke cleared up.
Huh. That's kind of cool. So this flips up, the cap goes through it, goes there. Alright, there's not a lot of power, especially at this altitude. It feels heavy, but this could be fun. Oh, there's a hubcap. stage out here. Maybe I just did. But that's pretty good. A little bit of smoke coming out from under the hood. Yeah, looks like generalized smoke. Probably a little oil needs to burn off. That's just a cleaning process now. Temperature's good, it's idling beautiful. The check engine light's still on, but that's probably leftover. This car seems to drive fine now. Lost both hubcaps on this side. I saw one in the road. I don't know where the other one went. I really should do some more cleaning of the engine. Do a few more laps. It looks like my spliced together spark plug wires worked, so I'm going to save them for the next Subaru. Did I say a free Subaru? I meant two. This is another Subaru Legacy. Also fairly straight and solid. This one's the wagon version. Got some nice rims there. But this one has some issues there. The engine is an issue. The previous owner had started to do some work on this engine and realized in order to take the heads off that way, he had to get around the unibody. And that's where his project stalled. Life happened and the rodents took over. Apparently they like to eat insulation. They really tore into this thing pretty good. This car has one big plus though. It's a 5-speed. There's a manual transmission in this one. Now I'm looking in the interior. I don't see any droppings on the seat. I actually don't see any on the floor. It looks like they didn't bother the interior of this one, just ate the engine bits. I'll have to go through it a little more thoroughly, but this car looks pretty nice inside. It says tray. It's just a tray that pops out. Cup holder. Here's the rest of the engine. Ooh, another battery. Nothing else that's good for a core. There's also more engine bits in here. But these are all the new parts he bought to work on that engine. Oh, hey. Spark plugs. And with the 5-speed, this one might be even more fun to drive. I deal with a lot of, let's call them inexpensive vehicles, and often they're full of rodent droppings, which is why they're inexpensive. A couple tips about dealing with that. We've got a large amount here to remove. Never use an air hose. This sprays them all around and you end up with them in your face. And you don't want that. You may have heard a humming in the background. That's my exhaust fan. It's a 1-horse fan that moves a lot of air, thousands of CFM, and pumps it into the shop. It actually blows enough to have positive pressure coming out the doors. Any dust or viruses or whatever comes from rodent droppings, if that kicks up, it's all blown that way. I'm going to use a shop vac because in theory all the dust will go into that. But some might come out the exhaust of the shop vac. So make sure that is pointed away and downwind. Then as the person that's breathing, stand upwind. So everything goes that way and nothing goes towards you. Since I couldn't get some of that stuff off with a vacuum, I got to turn to the next option, water. Water is actually a good first option. On this particular engine, it's missing stuff. The previous owner did a very good job of sealing it all up with duct tape, but the duct tape's old and water has a habit of getting everywhere. So I was trying to avoid this, but it's got to be done. Doing a light spray everything first to make sure all that stuff gets moistened, doesn't kick up. Then we can start washing. And you want to stand back for this because you don't want splashback. I've made progress, but there's some spots that really are not coming off. I'm thinking these rodents had some kind of adhesive in their diet, because that stuff is on there. So we're going to level up. Before I was worried about getting water in my engine. I don't have to worry anymore. I definitely got water in that engine. But it's a lot cleaner and I feel way better about touching it now. This looks like the head gasket right here, coming out. The previous owner had started to do some work on this engine and realized in order to take the heads off that way, you had to get around the unibody. And that was why the project stalled and eventually got put on the back burner and eventually got taken over by rodents. Luckily, a lot of the stuff was already removed by the previous owner, and what wasn't was removed by the previous tenants. It's time to play one of my favorite games, What's in My Oil Pan? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No water, no oil, nothing at all. Starting to see a little bit of movement. Oh, there we go. That was a lot of movement. Looks like the dowel pins were rusted. There we go. I think we're about to get free here. Oh, got some wires caught. No, I think this jammed up a little. Oh, there we go. That felt like it went free. The dipstick on the transaxle. There's oil near the bottom. Huh. That's a lot easier than crawling under and pulling a plug. Yep. A little bit of water in there, not too bad. The bottom bolts are out completely. This makes my life easy. Oh yeah, they're not even particularly tight. There's water. More water. A little bit of carbon buildup here, but the cylinders look nice. How do you see that? You can still see the crosshatch hone marks in that. I don't feel any ridge at all right there. That cylinder's in good shape. This car's got way over 200,000 miles on it. That is pretty impressive. Oh. Tiny bit of water on this side, not bad. Couple drops. A lot of water in the intake, but I expected that. Bit of carbon buildup again. Let's see how these cylinders look. Again, there's no ridge at all. A little bit of scuffing right at the bottom, but there's the cross hatches again from the original honing. This might be the best shaped engine I've ever actually taken apart. Definitely way into the good enough range. The front seat had all the gaskets I need to put the long block together. All the bolts are nicely bagged up, so I'm sure the head bolts are here somewhere. Here's a piece of hose I needed for the other car. There they are. I dug further into the box of the gaskets and found brand new head bolts, along with the timing belt kit with a water pump. I'm getting spoiled here. You might find it strange that I bought parts for a car when the parts that I needed were sitting in the spare parts car. This whole thing happened over time. These cars are actually pretty far away from me, and I picked up the first one and it was like 3 or 4 months before I could pick up the second one with the parts I needed. In the meantime, I had to get the first one running because that was just fun. And these won't go to waste because I do have this second engine, but I'm not going to be able to get this one running right now. There's a lot of sensors and things that are critical and have been eaten. And a lot of wires in the engine compartment harness have been eaten through. So I'll have to figure all that wiring out and see if there's any I don't find. So I can't get this one running right now for this video, but I will start putting it together and you'll see it at some point in the future, in some form. That's where I need your help. First off, I want to give a big thank you to Scott. He's a super nice guy and he gave me these cars. The best part about that is he knew he could have scrapped these and made some money, but he'd rather see them go to use and be used again than go to scrap metal. And I can respect that. Apparently he even tried a Subaru message board and tried to give them away before, but no one was willing to make the drive out there. Interesting place, by the way. Now that I have them, I gotta figure out what to do with them. I actually have a few ideas, and I was gonna end the video with starting the next project with these, but I can't decide which one I want to do, and I need your help. One thing I'm not gonna do is sell this as a car. Now that I get rid of all the rodent droppings, that actually looks pretty decent. I would tell someone buying it that it was full of mice and sell it cheap, but eventually someone's gonna get in that car and not know about the mouse history. And turn that air conditioning to full blast and fill the interior with whatever comes out of those vents. And that's not good. And because of that rodent infested interior, that brought up an idea of stripping the entire interior out, lighting up the entire car, and turn it into a rallycross type car. But I'm not sure how much weight it will lose, because I bet that interior isn't that heavy. If I really wanted to go lightweight, I could put that engine and transaxle in something like this. This particular one. This is an old Formula V car. Right now it has an engine and transaxle from an air-cooled Volkswagen, and that points the same way as the engine and transaxles in these Subarus. Also, these engines are kind of unique. With two cylinders facing out this way, and two cylinders facing out this way, makes for a very wide engine, which means a very wide engine compartment. It's way over 32 inches wide at the front here. It narrows down a bit, but still almost 30 inches wide at the back. The transaxle sticks into the engine compartment quite a bit. We got over 30 inches of length here too. This engine compartment is big enough to fit pretty much any engine I had lying around. This 360 Dodge is under 2 feet wide, 30 inches to the fan. That would fit right inside this engine compartment with no modifications to the unibody at all. And it's a transmission with just a standard U-joint output. And because this is all-wheel drive, it means there's a drive shaft going to a rear axle. So a longitudinal engine up there could power the axle back here. I just have to make sure the transmission could fit here, where this other transmission that's pretty big is. And then it should be interesting. I doubt the engine would fit under the hood, but I've got a Sawzall, and I can fix that problem. But then I have other thoughts too. The back hatch on this wagon kind of looks like a tailgate. I could take the running engine out of this car, drop it in this car, do a little slicing and dicing, maybe take a little section out of the middle and the rear doors, bring that rear end forward. Then it'd be kind of like that old Subaru Brat. So I'm really not sure what to do. I haven't made a decision on this yet. I'd love to hear your input if you like one of those ideas or if you have one of your own. Because I gotta do something with them, just not sure what. For now, I'm real happy that the car came back to life and runs pretty decent, and it was a lot of fun to drive in the dirt. Hope you're having fun too, and we'll see you next time.